Good morning! At the end of October, we went on a river cruise with Riviera Travel. We spent a week on the River Rhone, on a boat called the William Shakespeare. If you haven't seen the first video in this series, which is the introduction to the cruise and what you can expect to see, there's a link at the top now and in the copy below. In this second video in the series, we're going to look at some of the important places to see in Avignon. Avignon, of course, is most famous for its bridge that doesn't reach the other side of the river, and our boat was moored just downstream from this. We divided into several groups and met our guide for the walk around Avignon. As we walked along the riverbank, we got a good view of the Papal Palace, which we'll see later. The original bridge was made of wood and built in the 12th century. This was replaced by a stone bridge called the St. Benezet Bridge after a shepherd called Benezet began building the new bridge after a sign from God. It had 22 arches and was 900 metres long. The bridge became part of the pilgrimage route between Spain and Italy in the Middle Ages. A small chapel dedicated to St. Benezet was built over the third arch. The bridge was damaged and repaired several times until 1669, when a new flood of the Rhone caused most of the arches to fall down. After this event, the St. Benezet Bridge was abandoned because it was too expensive to maintain. The structure was then practically identical to the one which we can see here, with only 4 arches. The bridge became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1995. We'll leave the bridge now. There are lots of museums and historical sites to see in Avignon. The most important is the Pope's Palace. It's a 5-minute walk from the bridge. And here it is, in all its splendour. When Clement V was elected Pope in 1305, he decided to transfer papal power to Avignon to avoid political unrest in Rome. He chose to build on the foundations of an old bishop's palace. But it was under Pope Benedict XII from 1334 that the original buildings were really expanded. No expense was spared, as we can see. This is now the biggest medieval Gothic building in Europe and the largest Gothic palace in the world. The Avignon papacy was the period between 1309 to 1376, during which 7 successive popes resided in Avignon. Inside the palace, one of the first things we see is an open-air theatre. One of the squares in the palace has been adapted, and I'm sure that the surroundings add a tremendous atmosphere to every performance. The large window behind the stage is where the announcement of the newly elected Pope was made to the waiting assembly. Here's the view from inside, looking out of the same window. We're now in the Grand Tunnel, which was the refectory of the palace. It was also the place the cardinals gathered to elect a new pope. The palace is full of grandeur, with frescoes, paintings and sculptures throughout the building. The popes departed Avignon in 1377, returning to Rome, but this prompted the papal schism, during which time the anti-popes Clement VII and Benedict XIII made Avignon their home until 1403, when the Avignon papal dynasty came to an end and the papacy transferred back to Rome. So for 39 years the Catholic Church had 2 popes, one in Avignon and one in Rome. Over the following centuries the palace slowly fell into disrepair. During the French Revolution in 1789 the palace was seized and ransacked. Later Napoleon's forces used the palace as their barracks and even their stables. The entire site was eventually turned over to the public in 1906 as a museum, and restoration work began. After that history lesson, this image shows us the tools that the masons used to build the palace, all built by hand. Imagine the skill and craftsmanship involved. After we left the Pope's Palace, we walked through the town, past the theatre and the town hall to the market. We wandered down several interesting back streets as we made our way back to the boat. Later in the afternoon, the William Shakespeare cast off and motored downriver to the lovely town of Arles. Come back next time to see what we found in Arles. Here's a clue. It involves the Romans and Vincent van Gogh. I hope you found this video interesting. If you have, please give us a like or leave a comment, and consider subscribing to our channel on YouTube to see more walking videos on Walk with Rob. Thanks very much for watching.